So Keynote is actually just a big honkin' slideshow maker, right? But because it's from Apple, it's a pretty one, and it's got all kinds of really cool stuff inside it. And because it's coming from Apple, they have some really great artists over there. And these guys have come up with some really great themes that you can use to help create a keynote address, or a slideshow, basically. The neat thing about that is that you don't have to have any training in color theory or art design or graphics or anything. It can take anybody, can come in here, use the themes that they've already created, and use those to make a really nice, coordinated, beautifully colorful, special fonts picked just to go with these extra backgrounds and stuff. And you don't have to have any kind of training. If you just pull up using their themes, you can make something really nice. But it's totally customizable. So we can start with a theme, and then we can go from there, and we can just customize it out just to the nth degree. So tonight what I'm going to show you how to do is how to use Keynote to make a slideshow yourself. And I'm going to go through the process fairly quickly, because we only not have 3 hours this time, we only have 1. So I'm going to show you the process. And the process is really pretty simple. I'm going to make a very simple one, and you'll see the whole process go all the way through. Then when we finish, then we'll go back and then we'll show you how to tweak it out and make it customized so that you can change it to what you want it to look like. And I'll give you some ideas about different ways that you can do that. And you can ask me some questions then when we do that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and dive in here and get started. So did you start the, okay. First thing we want to do though is we want to be a little bit organized. And the best thing to do is to go ahead and pick the slides or the images that you want to use in your slideshow. So if you're using photos, you can go ahead and make an album. Go ahead and make an album, name it something notable like Keynote Slideshow, and drag all the photos that you think you might want to use in this thing. Put more than you need, but put it in that album so it's readily available, because you can access it directly in Keynote, and I'll show you how to do that. Another way to do this is if you're not using Photos app, you're using some other way to catalog or to hold your images, you can go ahead and just make a file and stick it on your desktop with all your images on it. And the reason I say that is because that way it'll be really accessible to you very easily, and you can get right to it. You can also access it through Keynote, but there's another couple ways, or you can just drag them right directly from that file right into Keynote. So the first thing you want to do is just get your photos and gather them up. And then the next thing you want to do is open up Keynote. All right, I'm going to go up here, I'm going to say New. And the first thing you're going to see is this big group of, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. There we go. These are the themes that have been designed to use with Keynote. You can see that there's more than 30 here. There's about a 30 plus, 33 or so Keynote themes, and each one has master slides that have already been chosen for you that are a mixture of text and images. And you can take these and any one of these, and you can see that how different they all are. There's a few in here that say photo essay. This one right here, you'll see is photo essay. There's another one down here that looks like a photo book. Presentation. There's some different ones here, but if you just take a chance, just go through as you on your own Mac and open them up and look at them, and you'll see how they look differently. This is just like the main title presentation, but there's actually 10 more master slides inside there. So we're going to be real simple here. We're going to pick my presentation, which is the black one. Black's a really nice color to use with photos. It tends to help them pop out. So we're just going to do that. I'm going to open that up, and the first thing you're going to see is your working area. So is that okay for you guys? You can see that okay? All right. I'm going to open it up a little bit here. Give us a little room. Okay, so how many of you have used Pages before? Okay, all you guys who use Pages, you're going to find this really familiar looking, because once we get started messing around with this, you're going to see that you're going to see sidebars on the far side over here, that are going to look a lot like the ones that you see in Pages. Because actually, Keynote was made before Pages. So it was the first of the iWork apps that was released. And so when I first saw Keynote, I go, wow, this would make a really great layout kind of thing. And then later on, Pages came out, and they must have been reading my mind. Okay, so what you see on the side here is a place where we're going to be putting our you'll see thumbnails appear here as we bring slides in there. And so instead of seeing pages along this side, you're going to see slides. That's what we're going to call them, slides. And across the top here is our toolbar. The toolbar is customizable. Let me go over a couple of things here for you. Mine is customized, but it's only customized in this little section right here. But the other part is pretty standard. Over here is the view. You'll see here where you navigate. This is the view on the top side navigator we have right here. And that's the one we're going to stick to tonight. That's the easiest one to get around with. Right next to that, you'll see that there's a zoom thing here. I'm going to put fit the slide to the window, and that's what it's going to do. And then right here, you'll see add slide. Now, if I press this, you'll see that here are your 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 master slides. All of them have either text or a combination of text and images or just plain images, and then there's even a blank one at the very bottom. And so this is what you would use as kind of like your templates to work with. In this case, we're not even going to look at these. We're just going to do simple slideshows just on a black background. So we'll come back and you'll see how these look very different in different kinds later on as we go along. This is your play button, so at any time when you're messing around with your slides, you can go back and play it and see how they're looking and how they're working. And this is a rehearse button for when you're doing keynotes, and it'll time it out and stuff. This section way over here on the other side will stay the same. This is format, which is you see when I'm clicking on these various things, we can get text styles and various things depending on what we're clicking on. This is the animate button, and this will help us get into some animations that are available to you on Keynote. But more importantly, it's mostly where you can get into your transitions, where you can apply transitions between the slides. There's a whole bunch of different kinds. We're going to be very simple and just use a simple one. And then on the end here is document, and this gives you the general information about your document as a whole. And there's also, you'll see over on this side, a little audio button, because we can actually add audio to our slideshow. You can actually record audio to your slideshow. So say if you were making up a slideshow here and you wanted to send it to somebody you haven't seen in a while and wanted to explain some of the pictures maybe, you could actually play your Keynote slideshow and then record a narration with it that will go ahead and stick to it. You can do that, or you can also add sound to the background. We can add a little music in the background as we play this slideshow. So we can do that too. So let's go ahead and add some slides. One way to do this, the middle part here, oh, let's see, wait a minute. This middle part here is the part that is customizable. If you see me down here, you can go down to Customize Toolbar. This one down here at the very bottom is the standard toolbar that you'll see if you have not messed with it. This is what you'll see. I've changed it out because I'm not using tables or cells, and I'm not using collaboration and comments. So and the Keynote Live, I pulled that out and I put things up here that I find that I tend to use more often, and they're kind of handy to have. And what those are is a forward and backwards to push things in front of each other. Also masking gives me a way to mask temporarily a shape. And also an alpha channel there so I can take a background away from something and mess with that. We're not going to do that tonight. Also, I have here the media button, and this is a way that you can choose to get to your media through here. Let me show you. You'll get an idea of doing this. You can use photos, image gallery, movies, and music, and then you can also use choose, and this will bring up a finder window that you can go and navigate to find things that you want to add to your slideshow. But like I say, it's easier if you put either stuff right on the desktop or you have stuff in photos, something that's really handy that you can easily just drag in here. As you see, I put photos, and it's giving me access to photos. I'm going to put albums here, and then I'm going to hit Keynote Fishing, and hopefully this will come up eventually with the photos that I have chosen to use for this. I've cheated, and I've made my photos and named them in the order that I want them to go in here. So to make it a little bit easier if they ever show up. Then you'll see them all up here, and then I can drag them in one at a time and just drag them across. In the meantime, while that's working, we can go over here to our Finder window and pop up Keynote Photo folder. And as you can see, there's a bunch of pictures in here. And I'm just going to go ahead and put select all. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag them all right over here. Oops, not that one. I'm going to click them all, and I'm going to drag them right over here to the side. You see them all going over there? And now there's all my slides all at once in there. So when you're working with it, you're probably going to drag them in one by one as you're looking, scrolling through your slides. Let's see if these popped up after all. There they are. So this is what it would look like if you're using your photos from your actual Photos app in your album. And I can just take each one of these and just click it and drag it across and add it in. I'm going to take that out of there. We missed. And just drag it in and just slide it in, as you can see. If I let that go, it'll just go in there. And so I don't want it to. Okay, let me get rid of this. All right, so now we have a bunch of slides over here, as you can see. What I want to do now is do something pretty simple. First, you'll notice that there's a little bit of black in the background here. If your format of your photo fits inside the slide, it'll completely cover it. If it's a little short, you'll see little bars on the sides, kind of like TV in the olden days when it didn't fit, And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, I'm going to move it down, and underneath you're going to see that there are two fields for text. And the reason that is because by default, when you drag photos in like that without picking a master slide, they're just automatically going to come up behind it. So all I have to do is click it and then Command X or delete it to get rid of it. And now they're gone. So I can just move my photo back up inside to the slide. Now this is a full slide here. I think I want to make this a little bit smaller because I want to put a caption right below here. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to add text to this. You'll see those little lines that appear here. These are little helpful guidelines, and they help you center your photos in here. If you have 2 or more photos, it'll also help you align them with each other. So those guidelines are kind of cool and easy for you to use. I always like to leave them on. So let me see here. Let me open this up a little so I can see. I think we're going to make this a little bit smaller. And just click on it and drag it. And all I'm going to do is push the text button. And you'll see, it's hard to see here, but there's a little text window that popped up. So I'm going to put it down here and drag it over. Tap in there and come back to my format window. Okay, so now you can see that I have access to all of my text stuff. I have all of my fonts here. I have access to some styles. In this theme, they have created these styles that you can use to just quickly pick a style and then apply that to the stuff that your text that you're using on there, or you can just do your own. What I'm going to do is just type in here who this is, and this is Mark and Glenn and who is that? Andrea and Chad. So now I can just go ahead and pick that over, and oh, there it is, centered right there, real nice. I think I want that a little bit bigger. You click back here on the text, move that up there. No, I got that. So you see I also have access to the colors, so if I wanted to change the colors, I can pick this. These colors that will appear here are colors that have been chosen to work with this slideshow. And as you can see, they've chosen a bunch of really bright primary colors to work in here. As we work in some other ones, in other slides, you'll see different colors that coordinate with the backgrounds that you see. So you're going to be pretty safe if you pick something from the colors that are chosen for you already for the theme. In this one, see, I can just click that and change the color of the text at any time, right there, and back again. And I can also make it bold, not bold, italics, and just have access to all of my stuff right from page, just like pages. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is come down here, and I'm going to kind of flick through the slides here real quick. And on these ones that are a little bit too small, and they're showing that text behind them, you can see this one, it's got that text back there. So I'm just going to eliminate those. I could, if I was dragging these in one by one, I could go ahead and just go up here and put Add Slide, pick the blank one, and click on it, and then drag my slide on top of that. And I would eliminate having to deal with the other ones, but since they're only showing up on the slides that are out of whack. And then down here, let's add a little bit of text here real quick. a little bit bigger. Oops. There we go. And then I could just put that in there. And at the very end, I think I'm going to put one right in here. Make that a little bigger here. So you can see I can move this text anywhere I want to and slide it, move it down, make it big, change colors, do whatever.
You forgot to add youth.
She had a really good time. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and I would maybe add some more stuff in here, maybe label the campground or whatever you want to do. You can add some captions in here as you go along. Once you've got all of that settled down, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a transition in between here. Now, the thing with transitions is that you're going to have a whole lot to choose from. And the best thing, if you've ever worked with iMovie or other slideshows, the best thing to do is to keep it really simple. I've selected all of the slides here. They're all outlined in yellow, as you can see. I'm going to come over here to the little animate button, and I'm going to add an effect. So you can see there's like a whole ton of effects on here. Clothesline, confetti, dissolve, blinds. So there's scroll all the way down here, and there's all kinds of different cubes and objects. If you ever played around with, like I said, some other programs, you'll see that all these different kinds. And I like to keep it really simple and maybe just use one or two in a presentation. Otherwise, it just gets really weird. So we're just going to pick dissolve. And that's just a very simple one. As you can see, that's what happened right there. It just dissolved. And then on here, you can see the duration. And this is going to be how long the slide is going to be there and how it's going to take to move to the next thing automatically. So I'm going to move this because I have timed this out a little bit to some music. I'm going to move this one to, I think it's 250, 2.5 seconds. That is a little bit fast with the 1 second thing there. And I'm also going to put on transition, I'm not going to use a clicker. I want this to go automatically. So I want it to automatically move from slide to slide without me having to put any input into it. Okay, so there we've got those. And you can see now these little blue triangles on the end here. That shows that there's a transition has been added to that slide. So we can go back and actually change the transitions between. All you have to do is just click on one slide and add a transition to that that's a different one. And that's how you can do that individually. But this is a quick way to just do them all at once. Okay, let's see. We also want to make this an automatic playing show because we're going to save this out at the end as a little keynote. We're going to save this out as an MP4 file, a little QuickTime video. And you know what you can do with QuickTime videos. You can share them with everybody, and you've got the internets, and you can share them with the world now. But it's really neat is that it will preserve all of the transitions, all the slides, all of everything that you've done here. And it will just make itself a little video that will just move all the way through there. And we're going to add some music to it next, and it'll preserve that too. I'm going to hit the document thing here. Whoops. No, I'm not going to. Here it is. And I'm going to put presentation type, and I'm going to put self-playing. And that's the only other thing you have to do on that page. Okay, so let's add some music. I'm going to go to audio. And what I'm going to do, one thing to know is that when you can add music to a soundtrack to this, and like I said before, you can record a soundtrack, but you can also go through here and pull something out of your music files or something that you have, or maybe you created a soundtrack in GarageBand or some other place and you want to bring it in here. And all we have to do is just bring it and drag it in. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to put some music in here. And this is going to give me access to my iTunes folder. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to pick one that I already made. There it is, right here. And I've picked this one here. This one has been timed to fit the slideshow. The one thing I will warn you about, when you add music to your slideshow, when the slideshow ends, if the music is longer than your slideshow, the music will just stop abruptly. There is no fade out, which is unfortunate. I think in very older versions of this, I remember seeing some kind of fade out thing here, but in this version there is not. So I did a little hack, and I'll let you in on the secret. The way that I did it is I just went ahead and opened up GarageBand, and I dragged my music into GarageBand. And after I had already played my keynote and I knew how long it was exactly, then I went ahead and when I put that music in GarageBand, I played it out to where I needed it to be. And then right before that, a few seconds before then, I just dragged that track down and just made it fade out itself. And I saved that little track, and I dropped off the back end of it and just cut off the rest of it, because the song was like 4 minutes long. And I just cut the rest off it. So now I had a little short track that was exactly as long as I wanted to have. And then I just saved it with my name on it, as you saw. And I saved it back into my iTunes file. And so now I can just go ahead and put it in here. So that's one way I cheated to make sure that it fits. Another way that you can do that is you can extend some of the slides a little longer, make them play a little longer, and maybe stretch them out a little bit to fit the music. You can do something like that. Or if your music has a certain spot in it where it'll kind of just fade out by itself, or there's a end of a chorus or something, you can kind of time your slides to maybe adjust them that way. You can go back and adjust the slides, give them a little bit more time to make it fit. But that's the way we would do that. So we've got our music in here now, and let's see. Let's go ahead and see if it will play. I'm going to put, well, I think we should put a title on this, shouldn't we? Fishing. And I'm just going to click this one out and delete it. Okay, yeah.
We can play the sound through the computer speakers, but I don't know if we've tested how loud it is.
Okay, we'll just give you an idea what it looks like, sounds like.
Can you click on the little speaker right there, and then make sure it's on VP, and then hit play?
Okay, let's see how this works.
Cover your ears if it's too loud.
So you see the transition that's going through there. 1, 2, move. 1, 2, move. So it's, okay, you get the idea. Okay, you get the idea. That's how it works. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, let's see, where is that?
So when you save it later, will it save the sound at the level you have?
Right. So the next thing we're going to do is we'll save. I'll show you how to save it. And so the way that you can save it is you can come up. Now you've put in all your little captions. You've done all that. You've put in your transitions. You've put in your music. You're ready to go. And so then you can come up here to File, and we'll look to Export. And you can see Export to. You'll see a PDF, PowerPoint, QuickTime. Actually, you can click any of those. It really doesn't matter because it's all the same thing. I'm going to put QuickTime on here. And this is the way you can export it. Now you can see it's obvious. You can save this as a PDF. And if you do that, you'll have some extra things that you can use to choose from. Image quality, you can make that good, better, best. If you can even make it a PowerPoint.
No sound in a PDF.
Yeah, you can even do a PowerPoint. We're going to do QuickTime. You can also do HTML. You can do images. So say if you wanted to pull these out as images, you can select them all. You can even just take a couple of images, maybe your favorite ones that you want to have printed somewhere. You can create a file for those, and you can also pick from JPEG, smaller size, high quality, Pinkfire, and a TIFF. Okay, and you can also even make it run in Keynote 09 here at the end. We're going to choose QuickTime, and because we're self-playing, so we're good to go on that. If we were doing this, if this had originally been one with the clicker that we were automatically advancing with only when I clicked on it, then these other things here that would say go to the next slide after so many seconds, and you would fill those in. But because we're not doing that, it's self-playing, we don't have to worry about that. So you can just leave that undone. The format is standard size here. You can also choose from 720, 1080p, or you can make a custom size. If you've got maybe you're making a display for a kiosk or a different kind of size little instrument thing that you're going to play it on, you can actually customize the size that way. And so the next thing we would do is just make, all we're going to do in this case is I'm leaving everything just pretty much like it is. And I'm going to next, maybe, and I title it, tell me where they want to save it, and then I hit export. And then, boom, you have it. And that's all you have to do. And at the end of that, you'll have your little QuickTime little movie file. And then you can take that and do whatever you wish. So that is how to make a very simple slideshow. However, let me pull up and show you this slideshow. Whoops. Let me get it out of here. And I will show you a version of this slideshow that's just been tweaked up a little bit. And you'll get an idea of some of the tweaking I'm talking about. Okay. So let's start this one. Now you watch this one and see the difference between the one you just saw and this one. I'll play this one all the way through. It's only a minute. It's a little loud. Notice the caption, looks handwritten. Magic move, an animation. It's a very simple two-step to do that. And I'll show you how to do that. This is another caption that's been written in handwriting. And there's a real trick to that, and I'll show that to you also. And see, there's where I cheated and faded it out. So that is the slideshow. Now we'll go back and look at this slideshow, and let's look at some of the stuff that's a little bit different. The first thing you might have noticed was this slide right here. And this is the route. Now I added some arrows, I added some text on here. And the way that you can do that is very simply the way I did the text. You come up here, you have access to the shapes. If you use Pages, you know about the shapes menu up here. It originally was only these little shapes right here, and Apple just in this last year has added all of these other shapes. There's about 500 or more shapes on here that you can go through. You can see them. If I click on them here, you'll see through and continue to scroll through and see all of these different shapes here. So we could actually, let me see. I was looking at one here that I thought might be kind of appropriate. We could actually pick this little campfire one, click that, and now I have a little campfire, and I can go up here and change the color to bright red, and I can change the size of it, and I can put this at the spots everywhere that I had a little campfire instead of putting an arrow. And I can add the text very simply. You saw me how to do add text before, so we added text to that one. So this is where you can add different things. We added the arrows by just simply clicking on the, whoops, clicked on the text one, sorry about that. By clicking on the arrows, basic, that's one right here. And I'm gonna click, that's a style. There's my line. To put the arrows on the end, you'll see right here, I can change the size of the line, bigger or smaller. I can leave nothing on this end of it, but I can put an arrow or different kinds of points on my arrows right here. I'll leave it right there. And now you've got an arrow, which I can push and move around anywhere I want on the screen. So that's how you can add all kinds of shapes and things to your slides to enhance them in some way if you want to add to them that way. Another part. Now, the other part here, which is the animation. This is the animation slide. It starts off with a slide like this, and then it ended up with a slide like that. But you saw an animation go through there. And how I did that was very simple. It's called Magic Move. And it's a really simple one that what it does is it takes a slide then you duplicate that slide. And then you take something in the slide in the second one here and move it to where you want it to be. So I had this slide here, I made a duplicate, and then over here I just took it and moved it over. So if I clicked on this, I could move it over here if I wanted to. And on this one, I could make this, you know, you can turn these things if you just select them and you push the command key down, it puts a little corner arrow in the thing and you can turn it and twist it this way. So I can put that in a different spot here. And then on the second slide, I do this. And what I'm doing is going to magic move up here. I'm going to leave the duration as the same, 250, which is what we had before. And what it's going to do is it's going to match the change by the object. Now, if I had put text in here that I wanted to move, I could click Word and I would put, if this was a piece of text, and then I had text on the second slide, then it would just look at the text and move the text. So it's recognizing, it's very smart. It recognizes by object word or by character. And I'm just leaving the rest of this as an automatic thing here. So you can see this and preview it. All you have to do is hit this little button here, and it'll show you what it's doing. Very simple. So that's a really cool way to add a little something extra in your slide, so you're not just flashing a slide, and throw something a little fun in there in the middle. Don't do it a whole lot. It makes people dizzy. You know? But that's another cool thing that we did. And then the other thing that we did was we added handwriting on here for a caption. And the way that we did this is we cheated, and we did it on our iPad. Because you can do Keynote on your iPad. And in fact, at MacCamp, that's what we did, is we made this same slideshow, but we did it all on an iPad. The interface is going to look a little different because you're doing a touch interface, so it's going to look a little different, but the same process happens. So tonight you're getting a 2-for-1. You're learning how to do it on a Mac, and you're also going to be able to apply the same procedure to an iPad. This is what when you open up Keynote on an iPad, this is what it's going to look like first before you even get to the themes. I'm going to create a presentation. Okay, so there's, you see the themes. There they are again. And I'm going to pick black, because that's the one we used before. And I'm going to come up here. And you see me push this, press the plus button at the top. And you can see that here is my photos that I had that appeared over here on a little funny little thing. But it's also the same ones here. I'm going to pull this one up here, fishing trip. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a photo, and I'm going to just put my little finger on there and then just drag it right on over there to the other side. So let's just go ahead and drag it over there. And there it is. And I'm going to get rid of this text stuff. If I tap it and select it, you'll see the little pop-ups here, and it'll say cut, because I want that out of there. And I'm tapping on that one. And cut. Okay, so now I have my picture of Andrea. I want to make her a little bit smaller on the screen, so I'm tapping on it, and I'm just dragging in the corner. You see all of those various yellow things on there that are my guides. I can move it over here and take this picture and move it over. Now, the cool thing that you can do on an iPad that you can't do on a Mac yet is if you have an iPad that is Apple Pencil available, compatible. So if you have an iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil, or you have a new iPad that also uses an Apple Pencil, one of the brand new ones that just came out last March, I think, all I have to do is just tap on the photo with my pencil, and you'll see this screen pops up, and it shows me that across the bottom of the screen here, I have some tools that I can use. I have a pen, I have a pencil, I have a crayon, I have a paint tool, which I think is really pretty lousy, so don't mess with it. There's an eraser tool, there's a selection tool, and you can't see it, but right here, when I click this, there is actually a little circle there, and it's on white. So I'm going to pick red. And what that does is it gives me access to the colors. I can either use this color chart, or I can have access to the color wheel where I have infinite colors I can adjust in any way. Okay, so I picked that, and so all I have to do is just take my little Apple Pencil here, and then just go like this, and just write on the screen. like that. And I can say, wow. I can do anything I want on this screen. I can, make pictures and whatever. I can erase. I can click this little eraser and erase that out of there. I don't want that on there. Right there. Or I can select this and then put a selection around the corner here. And then I can just take this and move it around over here if I want to. Anyway, what I can do is then go ahead and mess around with this, but I can write directly on the screen. And this is really cool, especially if you're doing something like a slideshow like this where it's kind of casual. You might want to just do that for a lot of it if you have decent handwriting. But I just click done at the very top corner on the right. And now I've got my slide right there, okay? And I can then, since it's selected, I can actually move it around and change it and make it smaller. Whoops. I think I can make it smaller. By dragging it across, I can make it smaller if I want to make it fit in here. Or I can put 2 fingers on here and twist it around and make it twist. So that is a cool thing that you can do. So actually what you could do is, say if you're on vacation and you're on the plane ride back home, you can just go ahead and start making your presentation in your iPad and bring it on up to the speed, and then you can do everything that we did here before, even the animations, and then you can just bring it over to your Mac when you get here, open it up, because I have iCloud syncing, I have the files in the cloud. I'll just pull it up here on my Mac, and then I can save it out as a QuickTime file. And so that's the only thing that you can't do on your iPad, is save it as a QuickTime movie. But you can do everything else. You may want to ignore. Yes, thank you. Oh, see, I'm tapping on my screen. Jeez.
Are you ready to switch back?
Okay, yeah, let's switch back. Okay. All right. So that's a cool thing you can do with your iPad. So like I said before, the interface looks a little funny, it looks a little different, but once you start messing around with it, you already know the process on here from your Mac, and you can go and do it over here. So what I'd like to show you, we got that done in what, half an hour or so, but that's because I cheated and I knew all the pictures I wanted to do, and I already knew my music and everything, and I wasn't putting them in one by one. So it'll take you a little bit of time, especially the first time you do it, but once you get the hang of it, it's going to be fairly easy to make a very simple slideshow. So what I'd like to do is show you some examples of some other things that you can do with this and using the themes. So let me go ahead and open up right down here. I'm going to open up some of these here for you. I'll flick through these real quick. Okay, let me start with this one. Okay, so this is a theme that we have chosen out of the theme chooser, and I'm going to show you what they look like. These are what the slides actually look like. This is the blank one, which is I think the first one that I used here. And there are some that are the mixed photos and text. These are some of those slides that you can choose from, okay? These are the masters. But like I said before, they are infinitely changeable. This is a master slide. So when you have a theme, you can use this master slide. You can see a little icon in the corner here. And if you click on that, that will give you access to your photos in the Photos app, in the little Photos screen here. And I can click on my albums and get to where these are. Now, I don't have them in here right now handy, but this would where I could get to my photos right here, and then just take them and just drag them right in there and just press it and just place it right in there. Just click it and there it is, the photos there. The same thing, I can also go ahead and open up my file folder over here that had all of the files of the photos in there, and I can just drag them off the desktop and drag them in here. Okay, so this is what it would look like to start with. And then the next thing that you would see would be this slide here where I put my photos in. Okay. Now I haven't done anything other than just drop photos into it. So it's still the same original theme master. But I can then go ahead and resize the photos a little bit down to give them a little bit more white space in between them so that I can add some different kinds of borders to them. And by changing the border on these, you'll be able to really make it look different in many different ways. And you can make it look funky, you can make it a little more formal looking, but it's infinitely changeable and you can change the colors and everything. So let me show you what I mean. This is a frame of, you can see the frames around the photo has changed, right? And you can see, if I click on here, you can see that this is a picture frame right here. If I click on this, it'll show you all of these picture frames that that are standard ones that are in here. And this is one outlined in yellow, and that indicates to you what that is. Now, I can use the frame just as it is, or if I select it, I can scale it and I can make it smaller or larger. You can see it change a little bit. As I click on it, let me do it on the bigger one here. You might be able to see it change. I can actually scale it in there. I can also add a shadow to that, but I don't want to because it's going to mess up the frame. The next one you can see is a different one. I've taken this one and used it this way, and this is the little one here that has the little push pin in it. And again, by clicking on my slide and pushing the command key down, I can make that twist. So I can turn it and twist it and make it not align, right? I can use another kind of frame around it. Another one, again, from the same sections here with picture frame. Up here, you'll see style up here. These are styles that have been pre-selected by the group who made this theme. And there are different styles that they have said, these would look pretty good in here. You know, you can change it with not a frame. You can put this one on it. You can put a little drop shadow on it. You can put it this way. So what they've done is they've given you some styles to go ahead and start with, but you can always change them again, like I said, by changing the border from a line to a picture frame, and then selecting a picture frame or not, however you wish. Like I said, it's all up to you. You can change it again and use a different kind of style frame. You can add a color to the edge of the border and put a line around it instead of having a frame. We chose a different kind of line. We chose a different kind of color. And then we just upped the size of the border edge around it, back and forth. And we put a shadow on it. It's got a little bit of a curved shadow on the bottom there. Or we can change that to no shadow, drop shadow, or whatever. We can also change the offset of the shadow, the opacity. So that you can see there's all kinds of ways that you can mess with this. Here's another version of it with the green. We've also got this one here with a different kind of frame around it. And of course, we have ways that we can make our own. We just bring in a box, a shape that's the shape of a box, put a color on it. Let me choose that here. And you can see up here these styles. These are styles that have a little bit of a texture to them, and they have designed to be used with this theme, so they've put these little textured ones. They're color coordinated, so if I click on a color here, you'll see that these colors, this is a faded color, but you can see that when you choose these, they're colors that are coordinated to go with that theme. So you really can't go wrong if you stick with their colors. So you can add that. This is another photo that's just been added in on top. And we can do that by arranging. You can arrange the photos by moving them forward and backward by doing this. And everything that you put on here is going to, see it's faded down behind there. I want to move that forward and lay it on top. Everything that you put on the screen creates another little layer. So by maneuvering it back and forward, you can layer things on top of each other, and that's how you arrange them. In Photoshop and some of the other more sophisticated programs, you'll see a layers palette on the side, and you can drag those layers up and down and move them. And in this, it's a much simpler thing. You don't have that extra little window there. You're just clicking on it, just kind of watch it and see where it goes, and when you get it to that spot, you're there. You don't have, it's not quite as complex as some of the other more advanced Photoshop type programs, but you can still achieve the same kind of effects with layering just by moving them backwards and forwards. I took this one and pulled it apart and then just set it up there. So this is just one theme that we've messed around with, all these, just with the frames. And we've already created all of these different kinds of variations on it. And that's one thing that you can do. Let me show you. This one is a Moroccan theme that we chose. It looks very kind of formal looking there. And I've changed the title, obviously. I just put the photo right up on top of there. And it came with a special little frame. You can see the frame around the photo. And that's a frame that is included in that theme. And so I used that with there and just laid it right up on top. And here I added one that has text underneath it. This is one of the inside pages. And this is the original, what it would look like. And then what you can do is just double it. So all I have to do is, it originally looks like this, right? And all I did is I changed the frame on this, but I can just duplicate this. If I select it and just put Command Duplicate, I can put it over here. And now I can just drag another photo and stick it in there and replace it. So then I can have two photos. I can change the frames on them again. I can rearrange them. This is the same one, and I put a photo in there. Doubled it and moved it over, eliminated the text if I didn't want it. So you can see how you can really manipulate this all the way around. And these are the same photos, but look how different they look when they're inside a different kind of theme. So it's kind of fun to play around with all these different themes. It'll give you some really neat things to look at. You can not only choose from the themes, but you can create your own theme in a way, and you can create your own background. What I've done is gone up on the internets and downloaded some stock photos that are free ones that they give you out there. When you do that, you want to make sure that you download something that has a pretty high pixel count, something that's close to 300 dpi, because when you enlarge it up on a big screen like that, it'll pixelate if it's doesn't have enough dots per inch. So you want to make sure that you pick a pretty good quality one. You can see this background right here on here that we created that I just dragged in there. There's another background that I drug in from the internets. This is another one, a background here. Put a photo in there, added a border to it. This is you can see the outline of it around. It's an oversized one, but because I just layered it in here, this is the part that's going to show. And then you can also use it as a frame. So you can put it up behind a picture and use it as a frame. On this one, what we did is I took a scan of a boat plans and just brought them in, just dragged it up there and resized it up to the size I wanted, put it on a white background, one of the white themes that we chose, and then just added a piece of text at the very bottom where I can then go ahead and put text to follow in with that. So this is what the result is we have this nice background that's got this boat-looking theme on it. Then I just dragged the pictures in there, added those frames to it, and we saw how he did that before, and then I can put my text right down there below. Another one here is an example of another one that we downloaded off the internet. This one is actually two different ones. I'll pull this apart. And I don't know if you can see it. There's that real tiny little dots in the background you can see there. And I brought this other one and just set it right up on top and resized it. And then we just put this one right in your photos right up on top. So, and then we can change the frames, of course. There's another different background. So you can save these if you get a really nice background that you like. You can actually save these as custom themes. So I'm not going to tell you how to do that because I'm going to let you guys discover that for yourselves. But you can actually save backgrounds and then reuse them again at another time. And that's a really cool thing. This is what I mean when I say that you make sure that you use high quality images. I don't know if you can see it, but where those arrows are, you can see that the lines are a little bit pixelated as it got moved up because it's not quite enough DPI. So let me see. There's some slides here. We'll start with our regular one, and this is the one that we did with the camping. Here's the Moroccan theme. This is another one called Harmony. And what we did is just took a 3-up picture like we had before you saw on the other thing. This is the same thing, but with 3 photos. And then we just added, we picked that frame, picture frame here, and changed that out. If I can go ahead and pull on there, and I can just go ahead and change that out and make it something else, you know, change it out. You can also do a little bit of photo editing while you're in Keynote. It's not a whole lot of it, but you can do it. And what I'll do is this photo I wanted to put in here, but of course it's not black and white. I wanted to make it look like the other ones. So if I click on this photo, and then I come up to the very top here, you'll see the style up here. If I click on image, this will give me information about this photo here. You can see I have the ability to edit the mask or do an Insta Alpha on it, but it also has some adjustments right here. And the basic ones are exposure and saturation. I can also click this little thing here, and that'll bring me up my little adjustment window where I have access to all of the other highlights and shadows and sharpness windows there. And so I can actually adjust this photo right where it is, right inside Keynote, and do it right where it is. In this case, I really don't need to do much except just change the saturation, so I'm just going to drag it right back out. And that makes it back into a black and white photo that fits a little bit better into my scheme. So you can mix your black and white photos together like that. So that is a little bit of image manipulation that you can do right inside Keynote. Instead of doing it outside and then bringing it in. If there's something that comes up like that, you can actually do a little bit of tweaking inside. There's another theme, it's called a blueprint theme. I find this one's kind of fun if you're doing a how-to thing or a maker kind of thing or instructions on how to make something and you want to show that. This is the original master slide that you'll see in that theme. And what we did here is just substitute a photograph, and then we put in our own caption across the bottom and substitute our own text in there. So you see it works very well for somebody who's building a boat. It kind of looks like drawing plans or architectural drawing plans. This is another one of those. This, again, is the one with the slide and text on the side. And another one from that same theme. We just took it, added 3 photos, resized them, and added text up above and below, all within using the same theme, colors, and situation. So you can see how that works with that. This is the brush canvas theme. We already saw these here. This is the ones with Charles. I'll skip through here. And the classic theme, and this is the one we used for that. The demons. Also, there's one called a vintage theme that's in there. And this one's kind of neat for old photos. It's got some really neat looking stuff on it. But what I did is just took the title page, and then I just changed out the text, and I added a digital file, which I downloaded from the internet. These kind of digital files I get from people who are into digital scrapbooking. There are a bunch of sites on the website, on the thing, and they'll sell you individual little images that are usually 300 DPI or more, so they're very good quality. Or you can buy them as a kit, and they'll have a theme. This one has a Halloween theme, and she has a bunch of different little images in there that you can use to create layouts. And some people will use this in Photoshop or in some other editing programs and create layouts that they can use for photos and put photos in there in scrapbooking. So what I've done in this one is I've used some of those layouts. You can take, this is one of them right here, and I put a border around it. This one right here is a combination of them. You can see as I click it, it looks like one unit. Well, mostly one unit. And it's because it's been grouped. If I ungroup it, you'll see that there's a bunch of different little elements in here. If I click out on here, you'll see that here's a little element here. Here's another one. Here's another one. And by combining these and using the forward and backward, by using the forward and backward buttons on here, we can rearrange how they lay on top of each other in which way we want to. Again, we can use our little command key to twist them and turn them any way we like. And then if I go ahead and go through here and select them all, I can then group them all together and put group at the top up here. You see the group? And now it becomes one unit that I can move around. And I can then copy the whole thing and use it on another slide if I want to, or move it around. Another fun thing to do is adding more digital elements to the slide. This is, in fact, some frames that have been laid on top of each other. It's just one unit, but they're just been laid on top, and you see they're clear through the middle. So the whole idea is that you can take a photo drag it in here like we did, and then just bring it in here and resize it, and you can put it right behind there, like that. And by using your arrange button, if I put it in the front, see it's on top of there. But if by putting it to the back, now it's behind. And if I click these two things together and select them both, and then group them, now I have one unit that I can move around anywhere. And I can preserve it, I can take it, I can copy it, I can do whatever I want with it. But this is another thing that I got from the group, digital scrapbookers. There are just some frames that they made. So you can import stuff in the same way you can drag it in from your Finder window and drag it in there. You can also bring things in from notes. What's cool about Apple apps is that they all kind of coordinate with each other and they work really well together. This one I actually brought in from the Notes app. I took these notes from, there it is, from my Notes app. And this is a note that I had, and I just taken it from an online article. I dragged the photo over to my notes, and I had dragged the information here. So what I can do is if I have something in Keynote that I want to do that I got out of my notes, I could just take that photo and just drag it over here and add it on here, and then resize it and place it where I needed to. So you can drag stuff. I can also copy stuff right out of here on my notes thing and just copy it, Command C for copy, and then just bring it over here and then Command V and paste it right in here. And so now it's right here in my Keynote. So you've got so you can use your Notes apps, you can use other apps in your Mac, you can pull stuff off of pages, you can pull things out of texts from different places to put this all together. This is the Magic Move animation, which I showed you before. I'll just kind of go through to see. So you can see that there's a heck of a lot of things that you can do with Keynote, other than just using it as a presentation vehicle. Right now, I've been able to show you how to make slideshows with it. And like I said before, it's really cool because we can save these as a little mini movie and they'll play on their own. So that's how you do it. That's a really quick and dirty and fast way to do it. I have some files that I may make available to you guys. They're PDFs of our newsletter that I wrote 2 articles on how to do the basic slideshow in there, and it has all of the steps and how to do that. So I'm making them available to the PMUG, and however they can distribute them to you guys or make the files available to you, you're welcome to have those.
Part one is in the August mouse tracks.
Oh, okay, great. Fantastic.
So have you you make a QuickTime movie, have you like put any of these to Facebook so your relatives can see them, or?
Yeah, because it's just a little video. So if you can upload video to Facebook, there's no reason why you can't put it up there.
Yeah, when it comes to choosing the size of the movie you're going to do with Facebook, but Facebook also downsizes things too.
So I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with Facebook,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
One more tip. I found that if you upload the movie to YouTube at high quality, it'll stay high quality, and then you copy the YouTube link and paste that into Facebook. And it looks much better
Than what Facebook,
chunks it down to.
right, that's a good idea,
Yeah.
right. Yes?
When you were doing the slideshow, can you change the length of time that a specific slide is displayed? Like making it longer or shorter than the others?
Right. You can change individual slides, you can change them all. Let me show you back here in the transitions parts, right here.
I'm talking about the transition, I'm talking about the duration of the slide.
Right. It'll say that if you do it in the documents, right up here, the self-presenting, you can put it right in here. Wait, let's see, where is it? No, that's not the one. I think
Duration, okay.
in the duration here, you can adjust the duration right here. You can change the, you can put none, and then you can have it automatic, and then there's your delay right there. So if you're not going to put a transition in, you can just do it this way, and it'll just delay it how many seconds that you want it to automatically move that way. If you do want to put a transition in, you just select the transition like we did. And then right here is where you'll see the duration. And you can adjust it up and down here, like this way. It automatically defaults to, I think, 150, but it's really pretty fast. It's pretty good.
About the duration of the dissolve.
It's
I was asking about the duration
of the slide.
of the specific slide.
What that is that's the duration of the time it takes for it from it's the first dissolve out to the next dissolve. So it's that long, and then the dissolve just takes, half a second or something, But that's the length, that is actually the length of the slides in between. So by moving this up and down, we can change the length of time the slide stays on there. It's kind of confusing, it's a little funny. You have to kind of play with it a little bit, but you'll get the hang of it once you play with it. But that is actually how it changes the slide duration. On here, when I did another video before, I had a piece of music that was a little bit longer. And so what I did in that one is I went back inside and I just picked a couple of different slides that had a lot of information or a lot of stuff on them that you might want to look at a little bit longer. And I just stuck those out instead of the 250, I bumped them up to 3. And so that gave them, or 350. So that gave them an extra second. And that added a little extra second in a couple of different places to the slideshow. So then that made it work out to where my music ended, so it didn't drop off at the end like it will kind of abruptly. Which is, it's the only bad thing about it is that you can't dissolve out the music right here in Keynote. You'd have to make it fit. But that's how you would do that. It's all, yeah.
So you can, if you take a little video of her catching the fish and, her
Yeah.
reaction.
Oh, yes.
And
Definitely.
Can you lower the music a little bit because you want to hear the movie and not the music?
That I don't know. I don't think you can. You might have to do the thing where you take it into GarageBand and play it. I believe in GarageBand, can you not play the video and then follow the music as it goes? I believe you can, can't you? You can actually play the video and then follow the tracking on it. And when it comes to that part, pause it and then drop it down and do the ducking. And then they call it ducking when they duck down for that. Duck down for that and then bring it back up again after that video. But you can actually, I forgot to say that, you can actually drop video in here too. It doesn't have to be just static photos and images. If I could have put in one of these, I could have just put a little mini video. So like I say, I had a little video of her pulling up a fish out of the thing that was, 3 or 4 seconds long or 3 seconds long. I could have just stuck it in there and it would have played the little video inside that slide. And it would stay there for the whole time of the slide until the little movie ended, and then the slide would transit. So you can actually put video in there. Yes?
For non-Mac users, people are familiar with PowerPoint. And I saw that you can export it. But I haven't tried doing that with Keynote, but with Word and other things. Most of the time it works quite well, but sometimes you get warnings and sometimes certain things won't translate
Yeah.
one way or the other. Any tips or do you have any experience?
I've never used PowerPoint. I think I've opened it once on some other Windows machine, which I don't touch normally. So I know nothing about PowerPoint. All I know is that it just makes it compatible that it can play in there. Can you talk to that?
I'm using an old version because I used to do this at work all the time and do presentations for the president when he talked to big groups of people. He didn't like it automatic. He liked to be able to talk as long as he wanted and then click to make it go to the next slide. But sometimes he wanted a PowerPoint version of it. The problem you have is some of the things aren't available in PowerPoint, and so they just, like drop shadows, they probably have them now, but when I was doing this, it didn't. And then it would just come out as a black box, the shadow. But you could go into PowerPoint and make changes there after you export it and get it the way you want it. The other way, it almost always works flawless. When you take something from PowerPoint into Keynote, it usually picks up everything. So just have to play around with it.
Yes?
Could you tell me a little bit more about the narration feature? How do you create the audio? You have to do it for each slide?
Can you say it a little louder? Say it a little louder.
Narration.
The narration?
How do you create the narration?
Where did I have that? Here.
Could I record the narration on my iPhone, for example, and be able to paste that on there?
Yeah, if you have it, if you can narrate on something else, then you're just going to have that little music file. Then you're just going to drop it into the soundtrack, just like I did, as if it was a piece of music. So you can go ahead and do that somewhere else if you have maybe better quality or something, you know, and do it that way.
Do it specific to each slide. I want to say something about each slide.
You would probably have to time it, you know, so I would be playing this while I'm narrating just to make sure that it fits right. You know, you might want to make a couple of tries at it and make sure that, or maybe adjust your slides. Maybe there's something you want to talk a little longer, maybe adjust a slide to stand on a little bit longer on that piece of narration. So you can, but you can, like I say, you can infinitely adjust this to make this fit your narration too. But I've never actually done it here. I've narrated I've done a narration in GarageBand, and then let's see, what was it I did it in iMovie. I think I did a narration in iMovie. But you can actually see what you're doing, and what you'll do is you'll play this, and then you just hit the record button and then just start talking, and you're using your microphone that you tell to do. And so you can see what you're doing and then just talk through it here. So it's supposed to be pretty easy. But like I said, if you have another audio file you record somewhere else, just drop it into the soundtrack. And as long as you can line it up and get it to coordinate, you're good to go, I'm pretty sure.
Question, Jim?
You can do
Yeah.
that right in QuickTime instead of, you know, we've got a movie being recorded of your audio on the screen, but an option is just do audio right in QuickTime.
Yeah, you could do the audio in QuickTime. I think he was just talking about different options.
Oh, for recording? Yeah.
You can also add audio just to one slide. So if you were clicking it yourself,
Right.
talking as well as wanting audio with a slide, you can just create audio for that slide. It will play.
Yeah.
And the slide will sit there as long as it.
You just drop the audio right directly on the slide, don't you? I think you dropped the audio file directly onto the slide in that case, and it would narrate just that one slide. That might be another way to do that narration, is to record each slide separately and drop them in. So that would be good video. And I believe that since that audio is playing, that slide will not move or change until it's done with the audio. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not really sure. I haven't messed with it very much, just a little bit. I'm not a total expert on this, but I'm just trying, but I'm pretty sure that that'll work, because I know you can drop in movies, and the movie will play all the way through that video on that slide, and then it will move. So I'm pretty sure that the audio probably will work the same way.
Got everything?
Pretty great? Okay, great. Thank you.